Good to have you with us here on Mirror Now on the Last Word. Viewers, 5 years ago, BJP swept to power in the state of Rajasthan, in the state of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. It was an overwhelming victory in all of these three states. It literally set the tone for what was going to happen in 2014 general elections. But this time around, all these three states have now and have seemed to gone back to the Congress party. Will it translate into 2019 and that kind of euphoria? It seems unlikely. But yes, the challenge is wide open now. The game and the battle for 2019 just got a little bit more interesting. But what I want to focus tonight is on the lessons that the two parties should learn from this round of state elections as they prepare for the general elections. For the Congress party, what are the lessons? What are the key takeaways? And for the BJP, what are the lessons and what are the key takeaways? And without wasting any more time, I'm quickly going to go across to Mandar Phanse, a senior news editor, who's joining us from Bhopal. He's been traveling through Madhya Pradesh in the run-up to these elections. He was covering it for us all day today. Mandar, what would be those three things that really led to this defeat for the BJP that the two parties should now keep in mind for 2019?
Tanvi, as we have observed over here in Madhya Pradesh, especially when it comes to BJP has almost neglected the voices of the farmers, especially when they were complaining about various things, not just since BJP was always claiming for a better farm sector growth, and they were also claiming for a good deal of agricultural, especially the irrigation which was provided to the farmers, especially when from 5 lakh hectares of irrigation they have gone to 45 lakh hectares of the irrigation. So this is what the claims BJP has was making. But at the same time, while the farmers were facing MSP issues, while the farmers were facing various other issues, like even the demands of the loans were not at all considered by the MP government, all these has galvanized into farmers versus the Shivraj Singh Chauhan government. That is one big factor which has gone against the government of Shivraj Singh Chauhan, especially when remember 90% people within Madhya Pradesh and in the rural areas, they are dependent directly or indirectly on the farm sector. Apart from that, of course, one of the important factor which was the bastion, especially of Malwa and Nimad region, from where BJP has got a beating, especially on this particular farm sector crisis. Apart from that, of course, the Atrocities Prevention Act, which was diluted, and later on all those protests were happened, and in those protests 8 people have lost their lives in the regions, especially of the Bundelkhand and Gwalior, Bhind and surrounding areas. And therefore, all these things also has gone against the Shivraj Singh Chauhan government, especially the 34 seats which were very important, very crucial around Gwalior, especially the Chambal belt. Those 34 seats were also suffered largely, and that is where this particular difference is seen. Remember, this is a very close battle. Right now also they are almost locked horns in,
right.
and the distance is hardly 5 seats. So that was one of the important reason in the Chambal region as the BJP suffered.
Yes, and the point to highlight here, Mandar, and why we are having this conversation is because the gap isn't that much, neither in Madhya Pradesh nor in Rajasthan, two key states, two big states. And so there's some lessons to be learned and implemented, along with of course, the Modi factor that will have a larger play in the central government elections. Then perhaps the BJP will look at doing that. Mandar Phanse, thank you so much for joining us and putting that in perspective. Now, before I go to our panelists, let me say good evening to Yogendra Yadav and ask him this question. Yogendra, I'm just sitting and making a list here of lessons learned, pointers for the Congress and BJP. They may not care about our list, but what's your view? What should be in there? Let's begin with the Congress party.
Tanvi, as we have observed over here in Madhya Pradesh, especially when it comes to BJP has almost neglected the voices of the farmers, especially when it comes to the
I'm glad you mentioned Congress Party, because Congress might believe today that they have no lessons to learn. That's classic Congress for you. And it's very important for us, for everyone to remember that there are very serious lessons to be learned. The BJP has lost today. Congress hasn't won, except in Madhya Pradesh. What happened in Rajasthan, and eventually it seems Congress is going to form government in Madhya Pradesh as well, it's not knockout. It's a technical victory. Given the extent of farmers' anger, given the extent of rural distress, given people's disillusionment with Vasundhara Raje's government, given all the issues that were mentioned by the previous panelist in Madhya Pradesh, the result doesn't quite reflect it. So the question Congress should be asking it, why did we almost miss this opportunity? They used to say Congress never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity. That's almost what happened today, both in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. And the lessons for Congress are the following. Number one, just waiting complacently and saying, okay, they will commit mistakes and finally things will come back to us. This is classic Congress style. This won't do. There is no room for complacency when you are in opposition, unless you are out there on the street raising the real issues of the people. People don't trust you. And that's the difference between Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. For all its faults, Chhattisgarh Congress didn't have a leader, didn't have much to speak about, but they were on the street. Madhya Pradesh Congress has big leaders, big egos, but when farmers' issues come, when real issues come, Congress is not there. So that's the first lesson. The second lesson, which comes primarily from Telangana, is that simply cobbling up a coalition doesn't work. Remember, on paper, Congress coalition was much bigger than TRS. But on paper, this was a coalition which was contradictory in terms. TDP is not the party you really want to go with in Telangana, a party which is known to have opposed the formation of Telangana. And in any case, there is no larger vision, no big appeal. So therefore, the second lesson for Congress is that Mahagathbandhan may be all right, it may be very useful in Uttar Pradesh, in Bihar, in Maharashtra, maybe in Jharkhand as well. But mere cobbling up of coalition is not enough. You need to generate hope, you need to create a narrative, you need to be carrier of a new vision, which is completely missing. Talk to anyone from Congress or from Mahagathbandhan. All the time they are doing their calculation. The big lesson is that doesn't work. That's for Congress.
Well, do you also believe that there is a larger farm crisis reason behind the kind of beating that BJP has got? Because these three states, we've seen huge amount of pain, even in Rajasthan, where there have been farmer suicides attributed to the kind of slowdown in agriculture. Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh obviously are witnessing a lot more intense farm crisis pain.
Absolutely. And one thing that the verdict of today has made it very clear is that farm crisis was not a rumor. These were not allegations made by some opposition parties. Farm crisis, rural distress is for real. And very few channels in the Indian media, yours being one of the exception, actually covered it. And the beauty of election is that it brings face to face with reality, which is being peppered over, which is being ignored. All these three states, remember, had witnessed higher agricultural growth than the rest of the country during 2003-2013. After that, there has been a decline. There has been a relative deprivation, which is what has really affected. There are three things happening here. One, there was natural disaster, drought. Rajasthan suffered very serious, severe droughts. So did Madhya Pradesh for part of it. There were demonetization, which is a state-induced disaster. And then there is a market collapse. Farmers don't get the price. Just when they recover from drought, the prices crash. So it is a mix of all that. And the point I wanted to make was, and the point that Congress needs to realize is, given the extent of farmers' distress, given the extent of rural distress, the Congress hasn't quite managed to convert it. And it is really missing a very big opportunity. That's what almost happened. So we have not seen the full extent of the problem being reflected in the results today. If you were to imagine Congress being in power and creating all this mess, and BJP in opposition, you can easily imagine what BJP would have done with a situation like this. Congress should have ended with something like 150 in Rajasthan.
Well,
that they did not is something for them to seriously ponder over.
Oh, absolutely. I think I'm here in Jaipur and you know, almost everybody is talking about the fact that how did BJP manage to even get so many seats? And in the last 1 month when I was traveling through Rajasthan, the anger against Rajay, the disappointment in Rajay was very, very visible. The fact that the BJP still managed to get such a large number of seats, 73 seats, has surprised many. I'm just also going to bring the attention of our voters to this tweet that has been put out by our Prime Minister. Narendra Modi has just tweeted about the state elections, and he says, we accept the people's mandate with humility. I thank the people of Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan for giving us the opportunity to serve these states. The BJP government in these states worked tirelessly for the welfare of people. He has also then, in a second tweet, gone on to congratulate the Congress for their victories and congratulated the KCR for his thumping victory in Telangana, and to the Mizo National Front for their impressive victory in Mizoram. So those are the two sets of tweets that have come. So Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, also there accepting the defeat for BJP in those three states. Quickly going across to Tanima before we begin our larger conversation. Tanima has been in Chhattisgarh and she's been reporting for us through this election season. Tanima, what is the sense there? Is there a lesson to be learnt for the two parties?
That's right. In fact, it was a thumping majority, which even the Congress themselves, their own poll pundits, did not really give them the kind of numbers that they have managed to rack up this time during the assembly elections. Tanvi, essentially, if we have to talk about some of the issues that kind of trumped BJP in this elections, was, of course, when we covered the length and breadth of the state, what we discovered was that there was a lot of disenchantment about the fact that employment especially in the urban and semi-urban areas was a huge issue. It was a growing issue. 25 lakh registered voters, registered unemployed people on record. Unemployed people is not a joke. That is something which seems to have cost the BJP government over here. That's point number one. Point number two is, of course, in terms of the agrarian crisis over here, the number of farmer suicides just in and around the Bastar region itself, what we saw was that around 1,500 farmers had in fact committed suicides in Chhattisgarh over the past 3 years, and a lot of them were around in the Bilaspur region, which we ourselves had covered, where there was a smart city coming up on the other side, but there were farmers committing suicide just a few kilometers outside the borders of the city. These are issues which were there on the ground, that we found that a lot of farmers were angry about the fact that the MSP, around 2,100 rupees per kg, which had been promised to them, per quintal rather, which had been promised to them by the state government, was not meted out to them. That is something that they were already angry about. And the Congress manifesto, on the other hand, in order to counter all of that, said that as soon as they come to power, they will be waiving off a large part of the loans which some of these farmers had accrued over the years. So that is something that Bhupesh Baghel, the state Congress president, referred to while he spoke to me earlier in the day today, just a short while back, after they were during the celebrations at their party office. So clearly the Congress's manifesto seems to have worked, and also the fact that a number of these issues that the BJP was fighting, besides the fact that there was a huge anti-incumbency wave against the Raman Singh government.
Thanks, Anima, for joining us and putting that in perspective. Just to add to that, and this is the list that we've put together, lessons for the BJP anti-incumbency factor cannot be ignored. They've seen it in these three states going forward. They have to keep in mind that there is some amount of unhappiness or disappointment within a section of the voters. Farm crisis needs immediate attention. Deviation from development agenda has failed. We did see in this election season that not much focus was given to the work that the governments have done, but more focus was actually given to either targeting the Congress party or going on the Hindutva rhetoric, and perhaps that needs a bit of a rethink. Congress cannot be underestimated for whatever it's worth. The Congress party has managed to oust BJP in these 3 states, and demonetization and GST pain is still visible. Here's the list of the Congress party. Lessons for the Congress: they need a tighter strategy to ride the anti-incumbency wave. Also adding to what Yogendra Yadav was saying, that coalition management and keeping allies together is something that the Congress has still not managed to get it right, which is why you saw a mess in Telangana as well. Infighting within the Congress party, especially the senior leaders, is still a problem in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. Maybe they need to figure out a way of how to empower them and give them different responsibilities. Must go aggressive on jobs and farm crisis. 2 issues that I genuinely believe are big issues in our country right now and may have an impact even on the general elections. And of course, the fact that Prime Minister Modi's supporter base is still very much there. So while states may still, they may still manage to scrape through in the state elections, the general elections will not be so easy. Let me see if our experts, Vinay Tiwari and Rajan Mahan, agree with me. Vinay, first to you.
Tanvi, I think since you asked Yogendra the question about Congress, lessons for Congress, I think one of the big lessons as far as I'm concerned for Congress is this. Some electoral victories are about mathematics and some of the others are about chemistry. While the Congress may have managed to win 3 states on the back of mathematics going in their favor, I think they need to acknowledge and understand that the chemistry for the BJP hasn't exactly gone down to the extent that they should have hoped. Remember, the vote shares in Chhattisgarh and MP are almost neck and neck. So it's in that sense a mathematical victory for the Congress. This particular vote share conversion in Lok Sabha will be entirely different. And this mathematical victory has to be converted into the chemistry with the voters, because that's extremely important. Like it or not, the chemistry between Mr. Modi personally and the voters is still better than what the Congress would have liked just ahead of the national election. So for me, it's really about understanding that to ensure chemistry is on your side, you need to do just more than wait, as Yogendra was saying, for something to go. Now, you can't wait for the opposition to drop catches or field badly to score good runs. You really need to play your shots well to score good runs. And I think in this case, the Congress has simply been waiting for the catches to be dropped and misfieldings to be done by the BJP to win their elections. Tanvi.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, let me just get in a reaction from our political representatives, and Gopal Agarwal of the BJP is also with us. But first, to Rohan Gupta of the Congress party. Rohan, you want to respond to what Yogendra Yadav and Vinay were saying? I know your party is celebrating and attributing these 3 victories to Rahul Gandhi, but are they really just BJP's losses that you are trying to take credit for?
I absolutely don't agree with that. This is the result of our party workers' hard work, and that's why Rahul Gandhiji told them Babbar Shed today. Please understand, Tanvi, the way BJP has been campaigning and doing election management, the way they are spending money, it's not easy to fight this kind of might and misuse of power. Like you were referring to farm crisis, and Mr. Yadav was talking about capitalizing on that. Let me remind him, government has spent 5,000 crore on advertisement. Government is making sure that even if there is no development, people feel that there is development. I have been in Rajasthan, the kind of muscle power, money power they used to garner votes, it's unbelievable. Still, our workers were on ground. Our manifesto, people liked our manifesto, they trusted our manifesto. As far as farm loan waiver is concerned, Congress has done that in past, and people have faith that if Congress is voted to power, they will hear the voice of farmers and they will do the job. See, point here is there are lessons for BJP that you cannot ignore the voice of people. That's what they did. Their Vikas was visible only in their advertisement. The Vikas was not felt by people. This is the reason why people have voted against that. And Congress as a strong alternative, when people put faith on us, obviously it is hard work of our people and our leaders. We have done whatever possible to get the confidence of people on our policies, on our manifesto. Our leaders have gone to villages of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh to get the manifesto points, and everything was combined. The people's manifesto has come. And we are very serious about our manifesto. We have given time-bound promises and we are going to fulfill that. And that is the result why we are able to get all 3 states in our kitty. So I think it will be little harsh to say that the credit don't go to Congress party workers. They have really worked hard, and through your channel, I am congratulating all the workers.
Same question to Mr. Gopal Agarwal as well. Mr. Gopal Agarwal, is this really Congress's victory, or is it just that you guys didn't do enough?
No, neither it is a Congress victory, neither we have not done good enough. The issue is that the vote percentage, if you see in this Madhya Pradesh and in Rajasthan, we have not done badly. And whatever vote shift has taken place from BJP, it has not gone to Congress. It has gone to the other parties. So the Congress should not celebrate this victory, though we congratulate them for their win. But it is a technical win, and they should look into what is their vision, what is their mandate, what they want to do for the country. That's more important. They have neither shown that vision nor that ground level work with the connect with the people. The issue is that we are going to introspect. We would work with double the zeal that we had been working, and these elections are not the mandate on the 2019 or whatever the work Mr. Modi has been doing in the center. 2019, it is a direct fight for Mr. Modi, and the people will vote for whether they want Modi or not, and at that point of time he is the most popular leader. Second thing is that there is an introspection for us. We will do it. And a third important issue is that some of the issues that we had been working with regard to economic development, with regard to creating goodwill for working for the poor, working for the remote areas, working for the backward classes, that narration did not find in the public debate, that the Congress tried to vitiate through caste, religion, and that narration somewhere was lost in the mind of the people, and there has been some shift with regard to those vote percentage shift. But I think...
Well, you say that you learn from your mistakes, Mr. Gopal Agarwal, but the fact of the matter is, for example, in Rajasthan, you did see what the sentiment was as early as January 2017, January 2018. And you still didn't do anything about it. You still continued with the same chief minister. You still made her the next chief ministerial candidate. You still continue with the same set of candidates. Half of your candidates were the same who were already elected representatives, against whom there was already anger. So I don't know what lessons you're talking about learning, because you didn't show that, at least in Rajasthan. Rohan, 30 seconds to you, and then I will go across to Mr. Rajan Maan on the BJP, especially what has happened in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh.
See, we are happy with so-called technical win as certified by BJP. But please understand, Tanvi, Mr. Modi has campaigned extensively in all these states. It is referendum against BJP, and BJP is led by Mr. Modi. So I clearly say that is defeat of Mr. Modi and his so-called Modi wave. Come on, when you win Karnataka, when you become largest party in Karnataka, the credit goes to Mr. Modi. When you lose 3 big states where Mr. Modi is campaigning extensively, it is not loss of Mr. Modi. This is surprising, and I'm telling you, this is the trailer of 2019. Main point BJP has to understand here is they cannot ignore voice of people, whether it is farmer, whether it is youth, whether it is women. They talk about their man ki baat, but they don't listen to what people's problems are.
Nobody
their
is
biggest
ignoring
vote
the
bank,
voice
the
of the
small and
farmer.
medium
It is
size
that we are
traders.
All right, point taken. I'm going to take that point across to Rajan Mahan. Yes, Rohan, let me take that point across to Rajan Mahan. Mr. Mahan, do you agree? Will this get reflected when it comes to the general elections? Because if we are saying that the issues are the same, which is of farm crisis and unemployment and the pain that was caused due to demo or GST, then that should also reflect in general election. Rohan, I will come back to you.
Well, Tanvi, it does seem so, because after all, it's now very easy for the BJP to keep claiming that these are just, state level defeats, that it is because of the performance of the state governments. While yes, in a broad sense, this is a reflection of the way governments, for instance, in Rajasthan and other states have gone, but it's also a reflection of the popular sort of discontentment with many of the central government steps, most notably demonetization and also the poor implementation of GST, which has disrupted the economy as a whole And I can only tell you that if you look at specifically demonetization and its impact on Rajasthan, it has disrupted so many people's lives. People have lost their jobs, people have lost their rozgar. And to give you one specific instance from Rajasthan and Jaipur itself, Jaipur is known as one of the major centers of the gemstone and jewelry industry in the country. And if you were to ask any jeweler across, Jaipur, you will find that they're not employing even 50% of the number of craftsmen that they were employing till the end of 2016. So clearly demonetization and the multiple sort of woes that it brought in has impacted Vasundhara Raje's government in a very big way. So to say that this is all just because of a state government and its poor performance doesn't really tell you the whole truth. The truth is that the farmers' despair, for instance, in Rajasthan, didn't lead to, they came in with a historic mandate in 2013, promised that they would give farmers loans at 1% interest rate. That promise remained unfulfilled. 6 months later, the Modi government came in and they promised a set of steps through which they said they would ensure that every rupee that the farmer spent, he would earn a rupee and a half. And yet, look at what they've actually got. What we got in Rajasthan specifically is farmer suicides in Vasundhara Raje's own bastion of Hadoti. So, and this was the first time ever. And what did we get? The only promise we got was a huge hike in MSP in the final year of, going towards the elections. And even that didn't remain fulfilled because in many instances, for instance, bajra is a major crop in Rajasthan. And what did we find? We found that there was not enough procurement happening. So what's the point of having a huge hike in MSP rates and yet the farm produce is not really being bought in sufficient quantity by the governments? So in effect, what I'm trying to say is that for the BJP, the big lesson is that these are not really just state-level discontentments. These are larger issues which connect with the entire country, whether it's, farmer crisis, whether it is unemployment, whether it's the impact of demonetization. They really need to look at all this. And as far as the Congress is concerned, I think the one big lesson they need to learn is that they almost threw away the game in Rajasthan through infighting, through very poor ticket distribution, and through a somewhat rather limp and flat last 2 weeks of campaigning in Rajasthan. So they need to really re-energize themselves. And as far as their own promises to farmers, for instance, of waiving off all loans that Rahul Gandhi's promise will be done within 10 days, the fact that they've said that they will give 3,500 rupees of unemployment allowance to all graduates in the state, I think they need to get cracking from day one of their government in Rajasthan, because if a historic mandate that the BJP got has been turned around by the people, then 6 months may well be enough for some sense of disappointment, disenchantment to set in. So it's what the Congress needs to do is to get its act together and start fulfilling the promises that they've made in this election campaign. Tanvi?
And we also have to remember, Mr. Mahan, that at least in Rajasthan, people still are not so against the Modi government as they were against the Raje government. If the Congress has struggled so much to win in Rajasthan, one can only imagine what happens in the general elections and how they may fare. But just to take your point, and let me see what Yogendra Yadav has to say on it, because Yogendra Yadav, you said that victory in these state elections may not necessarily translate into 2019. But the farm crisis, the slowdown in the business and the economy, the lack of jobs are all national issues, and they don't just exist in these states. So if the BJP is at the loss, who stands to gain from this in 2019?
Tanvi, it's quite clear that what has happened today is going to set the stage for 2019. Although I would hesitate to use an expression like referendum, because to assume that what happened in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh would have some implication for Tamil Nadu is rather too far-fetched. What we are looking at in 2019 is that BJP may have some gains in the east, which will be more or less wiped out by their losses in the West and the South. Therefore, the Hindi belt, which is where BJP has currently about 192 MPs or so out of 226, is where the real battle would be fought. And for that, we have got some very significant clues today. Number one, the three states by themselves, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, if you look at them, they have 65 seats. BJP won 62 out of these 65 seats in 2014. Going by today's calculation, they would be to around 30. And history suggests that whichever party wins these three assembly elections, after 6 months, it tends to improve upon its performance in the Lok Sabha. So that's a very severe setback for the BJP to begin with. Second is the question you've made, which is beyond these three states. It tells us, number one, that Mandir agenda doesn't work. We haven't spoken much about it, but do remember Yogi Adityanath was put in service. A lot of attempt was made to communalize the situation. It simply didn't click. So Mandir doesn't work. That's the other message. What works? Farm crisis, unemployment. As we say in a very simple Hindi expression, Hindu na Musalman, bas kisan naujawan. This is the real agenda that the people want, and BJP will be forced to come on to this agenda. We have also realized today that while Mr. Modi continues to be probably more popular than Rahul Gandhi, more popular than his own party, but the days when his magic wand could simply flip the election results, they are over. We've also learned that no matter how much money BJP uses, and BJP must have overspent their rivals by 1:10 at least, that is not enough. You cannot win election only with money. You cannot win election by media management alone. So much of spin doctoring, so much of controlling of Indian media. I think we should honestly talk about these things. There has never been a phase in the history of India when the ruling party has the media in its clutches the way it has during this period. But this is not enough. So in a sense, what today's election has done to the BJP is to say, welcome to India. There is an India beyond your spin doctoring. There is an India beyond the images you create, India beyond the images you sell, and you have to encounter that real India. That is the India of farm distress, of rural distress, of agrarian crisis, of deep and serious unemployment, of poverty. These are issues you have to encounter. That is the big change that has happened today.
Okay, so that is the question to Gopal Agarwal. Gopal Agarwal, is that the lesson that you will learn, that there are very grave, serious challenges facing your government, or are you just going to step up on the Ram Mandir rhetoric?
No, I think the issue is that whatever lessons are learned, we know whatever has been told by Mr. Yogendra Yadav or others. We already know that the people of India wants roti, kapda, makan. They want good infrastructure, good governance, corruption-free governance. They want electricity. They want water. They want houses. And that's what the agenda we are working on for more than 4.5 years. And if you go into what Madhya Pradesh government or Chhattisgarh government did, their whole focus was on Ladli Lakshmi, women welfare, farmers distress. These are the issues we are working. Why did you lose? And the also issue is that the issue is, that's what I am telling you, that there is a time frame within which what you can deliver. Second thing is, the narration was vitiated by opposition party and brought into this communal issues like caste, religion, and the people just the narration changed to these issues, and our message did not reach to the people with regard to achievement. We will be more focused on better communication, and there are some issues with regard to time frame of GST delivery. Okay, so let me take it this way. Mr. Gopal Agarwal is telling us that they're going to talk more about development and less about any other communal rhetoric. And it's you guys, the Congress party, who've been doing it all this while, not Yogi Adityanath. Rohan Gupta. Welfare of the people.
Tanvi, first of all, they have converted manifesto into Jumla Patra. People of country are very smart. I'll give you example of Rajasthan, where Vasundhara Raje government gave 622 promises in 2013. Congress party raised 37 questions against all these promises. Till now, they could not answer. In the whole campaign, if they have worked, they should have given report card to people. They should have come with white paper. Okay, look, this is what we have promised. This is what we have delivered. Please vote for us. But what were the issues? Bajrang Bali, Ali, caste of Bajrang Bali, all were issues in Rajasthan elections. When Mr. Modi also came, you were saying that there was no anger against Modi. I am telling you, you come to Jaipur, like one of the panelists told, note ban and GST were one of the biggest issues in Rajasthan elections. So if we say that it's only against Vasundhara government, I think it will be little harsh to her. It is combination of Modi and Vasundhara where people have dejected this kind of politics, where they are really impacted. Rajasthan, MP and Chhattisgarh, it's state of small and medium enterprises. They are badly impacted by note ban, and even after 2 years, they are not able to come out of the situation which was created by note ban. So overall, if you see, this is the elections where we got good amount of urban votes also. So as a Congress party, we give whatever promises we have given. Through your channel, I am promising to people of these states that we will fulfill all our promises in time-bound manner. And this is the learning for all political parties, that you cannot change narrative and do elections or campaign election on non-issues. You have to give report card to people of this country. Otherwise, you will be finished.
Gopal Agarwal?
No, I don't think we are well entrenched with what the people want. We are working on the proper agenda. We are fulfilling our promise. And I would tell you one thing is that it is Modi ji in 2014 who gave first time the metrics on which to judge the delivery of the government. The issue, it is not false promise. At that time, the ranking in ease of doing business was 142. And when Mr. Modi said that I will achieve a ranking of 50, nobody believed. But we have moved towards that. If you see into macroeconomic parameters, inflation is at the lowest ebb, less than 3.6%. Our foreign exchange reserves are high. We have a highest GDP growth rate. We are one of the fastest reforming, top 10 reforming country globally. And we are giving healthcare to each and every person. But if you don't call this delivery, if you don't call a Jan Dhan account, 34 crore Jan Dhan account as something which is an achievement, then what you talk about 25 crore in last 65 years?
Mr. Gopal Agarwal, the fact of the matter is, if you think you've done all of this, then why wasn't this your focus for your campaign, election campaign? We barely heard anything about the government schemes and the development that the government has brought in. The focus in most of the campaign speech was completely different. Yogendra Yadav wanted to come in.
Yes, I just wanted to say it's quite clear from what the BJP is saying that they haven't, at least my panelist here hasn't quite learned his lesson. I think he didn't listen to Arun Jaitley's speech. Probably he'll change his tune after he listens to Arun Jaitley. The real point I wanted to make was about 2019. Look, the BJP started with 5 big trump cards. And tonight, having seen it all, now we can assess those 5 trump cards. It's machine, it's Modi, it's media, it's money, and it's Mandir. On Mandir, it's quite clear it doesn't work. On Modi, it works, but it's not that decisive element anymore. Machine, I don't mean the EVM, I mean the organizational machine of the BJP that still works for the BJP. And otherwise BJP wouldn't be where it is in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, a credible performance even after running such a bad government in Rajasthan. The remaining 2, money and media, is what might change tomorrow. Mark my words, Tanvi. You are from Mumbai now. Those sitting in Mumbai who distribute money to political parties, from tomorrow onwards, they would say, okay, let's not put all our eggs in one basket. Remember, BJP got 95% of all the election funding that has come through those weird electoral bonds. The equation might change tomorrow. and media. I need not say to you, this has been one of the most shameful episodes of Indian media. You have been exception. You have picked up the issue of farmers. Your channel has picked up the issue of farmers' distress in ways that must be saluted. But this is not the case for the rest of the media. The manner in which the media has behaved in this country, and no other government had media in their clutches the way this was the case. But I tell you, from tomorrow morning, that is also going to change.
We would like
Media
to, Mr. Yadav, focus on the real issues. And the farm crisis is a real issue. I'm sorry I'm tripping you there, but I'm running out of time. But I take your point, which is why we've also been constantly rallying for more transparency in election funding, in political party funding, and we've been completely against this whole concept of electoral bonds that doesn't tell us where the money is coming from in any of these political parties. By now they've raised 1,000 crore and we don't know who gave them that money. Last word to Vinay Tiwari, and I'll quickly go across to Mr. Rajan Mahan after that, but Vinay, first you before we wrap up.
I just wanted to one small point in response to what Yogendra said. Look, I also have to give a disclosure and a caveat. Yogendra and I have worked together. He was a cephalogist for us when we were in another network, and we've kind of worked in the media together. I just had one thing to say. I agree with some bit of what he's saying, but I must also add another cautionary note. I think there is an old world definition of media that is still being used to describe it as an omnibus whole. 10 news channels is not media anymore. There is a very large digital presence out there which is fairly free and writes and reports what they think is accurate. There is greater freedom there. Perhaps you have lesser control in terms of the narrative, and a lot of people are doing that. So that in itself has also ensured that there is some amount of a level playing field. I agree with him on television for sure. Having said that, I think the larger point is that in this whole battle between the Congress and the BJP, the real issues in terms of rhetoric, in terms of exaggeration, in terms of allegations, in terms of accusing the other party of doing exactly what some other is doing, is getting a little sidelined. The only point I wanted to make, Tanvi, is this. Every single political party in this country accuses in a bombastic manner his or her rival of doing exactly what they've been doing. BJP is no exception in doing this. Congress is no exception. The Aam Aadmi Party accuses everybody of dictatorial behavior. They do exactly the same. The TMC accuses everybody of being undemocratic, but you can see in Panchayat elections they were as undemocratic as anyone else can be. Every party does that. And I'm not surprised Gopal Agarwal is accusing the Congress of communalizing the campaign, even when you have star campaigners like Yogi Adityanath, who said nothing else but divisive communal politics in seat after seat that he went to. I'm only hoping that this result will ensure that the BJP will also introspect, will do analysis of how many seats Mr. Adityanath went to and what was the electoral dividend in terms of return on investment that they got through his campaigns and through this kind of a divisive campaign that was run. Maybe it has limitations, maybe it needs to be used more selectively. It certainly can't be a national narrative of a divisive agenda. Tanvi.
Well, one can certainly hope that it is not the national narrative, that after these defeats, it's not intensified and it's not amplified further to just get those votes, be it from the Congress party or from the BJP in the coming elections. I thank all our panelists for joining us. My apologies to Mr. Mahan. I couldn't come to you for the last comment, but we're completely out of time. Thank you for being there with us through the day also, Mr. Mahan. Here are the few things that, just to summarize, and maybe the two main key parties need to keep in mind. That real issues of people matter, no matter how much of communal polarizing agenda, of caste-based politics, of community-based politics you do, no matter how much of Hindu-Muslim debates you want to yell about in the prime time. At the end of the day, if you are not able to give people a job, if you're not able to give people a good health insurance scheme, if you're not able to give people the right kind of education, if you're not able to save the farmer, then none of this is going to work. Now, maybe we are overreading into what has happened in the three state elections, but definitely this is going to set the tone for what happens in 2019. A Congress party will appear to be a lot more energetic, a lot more confident, but they have to keep in mind that it's still an uphill task and they have to work harder. BJP needs to introspect on what their strategy is going to be from here on. They completely forgot about the development agenda in the last few months. Do they really want to go down that path further? To all our viewers, like some of our experts said, watch out for the false narrative that gets built in the run-up to elections. On our behalf, we will keep getting you the real news, we will keep talking about the real agenda and keep warning you about fake news. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.